A meal for your family in one pan? I got you covered. Hey, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Chef Des, corporate chef of BC Egg, and we're gonna make a Tex Mex Hashbrown skillet. And honestly, it's a whole meal for your whole family in one pan. Let me show you how to do this. So the first thing we're gonna do is we have 3 extra large russet potatoes, and really extra large, like big, huge baking potatoes. And we're gonna use the coarse grater of a box grater, and we're gonna grate these like we're making hash browns, okay? All right, and that's number 3. Yeah, that's a lot of potato. That's approximately 8 cups of shredded potato. So even if you haven't got extra large russet potatoes, just use whatever you have and just keep grating until you have that 8 cups worth. We're gonna head over to the sink now. All right, so what we wanna do is we wanna wash away some of this starch. So cold water, and fill that bowl up until the potatoes are covered. And you'll see the water get really starchy looking, cloudy. And I'm really just taking my hand and moving it around to really try and get out all the starch that we can. And then I'm gonna take that out, grab a colander here, drain it off, rinse the bowl, and then do that one more time. Cold water. And you can see already how much clearer the water is. And this is just gonna help them cook a lot better. Just gonna let that drain for a little bit, and we'll head over back to the countertop. All right, give it a last couple of shakes. Then what we wanna do is we wanna dry those potatoes as best we can by getting a towel, dumping them on the towel, spreading them out as even as you can without going too close to the edge because you don't want them to spill out. And then roll up your towel and squeeze it as you go. And then best you can, squeeze to get the moisture into the towel, and any excess should run off like that. You could even do this in 2 batches too if you wanted to. When you're done, take your potatoes out of the towel. Just be a little careful, that's all. Like so. And I just shake off the excess. All right, then with our potato mixture, now that we've squeezed it out, we're gonna add a few things. 1 medium onion, diced. 1 red bell pepper, diced. 1 green bell pepper, diced. And since it's a Tex-Mex, the bell peppers are in there. We're also gonna go with a jalapeno. This is optional though if you don't want a lot of heat. But the other thing you can do is you can get rid of the seeds and the white membrane of the inside of the jalapeno so it's a little milder, but you still get that nice jalapeno flavor in there. And I'll show you how to do that. All right, so we just take off the stem, and then what I do is I cut it in half lengthwise, and then I cut it into about thirds. So I make 2 cuts on each half, just so it's a little easier to get at the membrane. And I'll show you this. So you're gonna be left with 6 pieces of jalapeno. And then with each strip now, take your knife horizontally and just channel out that white membrane and the seeds. Just like that. If you want your hash brown skillet to be extra hot, keep the seeds and the membrane in. If you want it to be medium, keep half of them in. Otherwise mild, take them all out. Or don't use the jalapeno at all. A lot of times people think that the spiciness of a jalapeno is just in the seeds. It's actually in both the seeds and that white membrane. And then dice these up really small. I just make strips like that. And then I turn those strips and I just make small dice. And we'll add that to our mixture as well. When you're working with hot peppers like that, you want to make sure you do one of 2 things. Either wear gloves or wash with cold water. What's going to happen if you wash with warm water or hot water and you're not wearing gloves is that the pores of your skin are going to open up. Those hot oils are going to stay with you even though you're washing with soap. And then later you might touch your eye or your nose and you're not going to feel very comfortable. So washing with cold water tightens the pores of your skin, the oils wash off, and you'll have no problem at all. Or like I say, wear a glove. To this mixture, we're gonna add a teaspoon of smoked paprika. That's gonna give it a really nice smoky flavor. And then optional, some cayenne pepper. 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon, all right? And now we're going to stir all this in. Now, keep in mind, I haven't added any salt yet. That's gonna come when we get to the pan after the potatoes are starting to cook, because I don't want that salt to start extracting moisture out of the potatoes. We need this to crisp up in the pan as best we can when we first put it in there. Sometimes I also find in a bowl like this, when it's so full, just to use your hands. And once it's thoroughly mixed, we'll head over to the stovetop. Okay, so a large non-stick pan, about a 12-inch pan, we're gonna put that on high heat. Yes, high heat. What we're gonna add to that, 2 tablespoons of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil. Make sure you're not using extra virgin olive oil, just regular olive oil, or you could substitute with a canola oil if you wanted to. Now this is not going to take very long because we're on high heat, but that butter is going to be your indicator of when the pan is ready to go for adding the potatoes. So when the butter is melted, you know it's fine to move on to the next step. All right, you see that the butter is now all melted in there. We're going to start by just sprinkling in the potatoes. Now don't be alarmed about the volume of potatoes. They will shrink down once they're cooked in the pan. But we're just going to take it and just start sprinkling in there until we can put them all in the pan. And again, sometimes your hand is the best tool in the kitchen. Once it's all in there, set a timer for 5 minutes, don't touch it, and just let it cook. And we're going to brown up those potatoes on the bottom. One thing as well, while we're waiting for this 5-minute time frame, is to season them. So liberally season them. That's a lot of potato in there. Liberally season them. So we're going to take some salt, and you have a chance to re-season before the dish is done, but you really want to give them a good seasoning right now. And that's going to get distributed in as we start stirring this around a little bit later. And we're keeping it at that high heat. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes now on that high heat. What we're looking for, as I mentioned, is for those potatoes to go brown. So you can take a spatula if you want and just have a peek. See how they're starting to brown on the bottom? Like that? Perfect. So now, for the next 15 minutes, we're gonna stir occasionally, and we're gonna distribute that nice crispy potato throughout and cook the rest of the potato now. At first, it's a little tricky to do all the stirring without spilling the potato, but trust me, they will shrink down as they cook, and it will get easier. Set a timer for 15 minutes and just keep going back to the stove and stirring it, I don't know, every 4 to 5 minutes, or a little bit more often if you want to. While that's cooking, let's go back to the countertop and get our eggs ready. So we're going to need 6 BC eggs for this dish, but always remember, every single large BC egg has 14 key nutrients, all 9 essential amino acids, 6 grams of the highest quality protein you can get, and 1 large egg, it's only 80 calories. What I like to do for this dish is crack them individually into cups. When that dish is ready, we're going to want to add the eggs very quickly. And you won't want to have to fool around with eggshell getting in there or anything. So this is an opportunity, since we have time to kill right now anyway, to crack them ahead of time. So I crack each one in its own dish. Make sure there's no shell fragments and that the yolk has not been broken. Let's go stir those potatoes. Oh yeah, oh, and it smells so good. Okay, that's been about 15 minutes. And look how much the potatoes have reduced in size because we've eliminated all that moisture. So one last stir around here. And then what I want you to do, we're going to taste it. One last chance for seasoning. And it's hot, blow on it. That is so good. I'll just put maybe just a touch more salt, not much. And now what I want you to do is spread this out. Sometimes going with a silicone spatula is a little bit better at this stage. And once it's spread out, lower your heat to low now, and then try and make indents where you want to put the 6 eggs. They don't have to be perfect, but we want to keep them somewhat contained. And our nice, beautiful BC eggs, one at a time. As long as that indent can hold the yolk, it's all good. A little pepper for presentation. You can see the whites cooking there already. Now to fully cook those eggs, put a lid on there and leave that for about 6 to 10 minutes. You just want those egg whites to cook and have the yolks a little bit soft. All right, let's check out these beautiful BC eggs. I keep a towel standing by just in case the condensation is gonna drip off, just to catch it a little bit. Yeah, look at these beautiful eggs. So they're just cooked. If you want them a little bit more done, you can cook them a little bit more, but the finishing touch on this dish is to put some smoked gouda, grated, about a half a cup. I do a little bit more. The perfect ending to this beautiful dish. And then all I do now, just to melt that cheese, I shut off the heat and put the lid back on just for a minute or two, and then we're gonna see what this looks like. All right, here we go. And this is what I like to do. I like to bring it right to the table, get a big spoon, everybody can help themselves, but wow, look at that. So there you have, breakfast, lunch, or dinner for your whole family in one pan, just like I promised. Tex Mex Hashbrown skillet. Don't forget to check out bcegg.com for a whole bunch of other great recipes, tips, and tricks. And this is Chef Des signing out. Where are you getting your protein from?